Welcome to the Deal Final Corner, your weekly property talk show brought to you by Property Filter and hosted by myself, Guillaume Black, your favorite Frenchman, CEO and co-founder at Property Filter. It's the UK's highest rated platform to find deals, and we are on a mission to empower our property investor and deal sourcer members to find 1,000 deals this year thanks to the Property Filter blueprint. The purpose with your Deal Final Corner is to give you more and the best of the available resources by inviting expert guests that will share with you the latest and most current strategies, tactics, and secrets about what actually works right now in terms of finding, making deals, and the reality of systemizing and running a high-performance business in property. So it is really my pleasure today to introduce you a very long-standing Property Filter friend and supporter, Shimon Rudich, on today's Deal Final Corner. He will share an exclusive and eye-opening presentation on lease options and the best advanced creative strategies that are going to work in the 2023-2024 down market. Shimon needs no introduction really, but for anyone who has been living under a rock over the past 20 years, Shimon is a highly experienced property solicitor and senior partner at MS Law Solicitors, a well-respected law firm in the property investment community, as we all know. With over 20 years of experience in both law and property investment, Shimon is a prominent figure in our field and our community. Shimon has an extensive background in property investing, starting with his first buy-to-let property purchase some 22 years ago. Throughout his career, he has engaged in various aspects of property investment, including buy-to-lets, HMOs, refurbs, redevelopments, addressing issues like Japanese knotweed, dry rot, and subsidence. And in recent years, he's focused primarily on redevelopment of medium and large commercial properties into spacious HMOs and blocks of flats for short-term rentals. But the main reason people know him today is that Shimon and his partners were pioneering and teaching advanced creative strategies in the UK some 20 years ago, and ever since. Those strategies are now widely utilized by savvy investors up and down the country. Together with Anif Khan, another Property Filter friend, they've literally written the manuals about creative strategies. Those strategies have contributed to his reputation as knowledgeable and influential figure in the property investment community. So what can you expect from today's episode? First, what is the most common mistake people do that prevents them from closing lease options? Then we'll move around how to upgrade your game from vanilla lease options to more advanced lease option strategies. Then Shimon will talk about what advanced lease option strategies work best in the downturning property economy we will see in 2024. And then hopefully we'll have time for some exclusive Q&A with Shimon. So from a Frenchman to an Italian, and on this foreign accent special episode today, I'm very much looking forward to handing over to Shimon and listening to his story. So please give a massive Property Filter virtual welcome to Mr. Shimon Rudich.
So as mentioned, I'm Shimon Rudich. I can see from the name and most of you already know me, but briefly as mentioned, I'm a property solicitor, over 20 years experience, also property investor. And I bought my first buy-to-let. Sometimes people tell me that I'm lucky that I started over 20 years ago to buy properties. The truth is that actually people starting now or in the last few years are luckier than me, because when I started buying properties, there weren't property courses, property mentorships, property magazines, property manuals, property podcasts, and things like that. So it was very much a case of trial and error. You made a mistake, you pay daily. And that's actually how I started at the beginning, lecturing on stage on property. I was teaching property investors not to make the same mistakes I made. And, you know, a clever person learns from his mistake. A cleverer person learns from other people's mistakes. So I appreciate that sometimes people think that courses and mentorships and things like that sound expensive, but making mistakes is more expensive. So also property educator, international speaker. As mentioned by Guillaume, we were the first one to teach almost every creative strategies out there. Over 15 years ago, me and Hanif taught all of them. And Jason Black is recording too. Sorry, I don't know who's Jason Buckler. And so what's happening here? I'm getting messages. So what was happening? So we were the first one to teach almost all the strategies that are out there. and which are still used now: exchange rate completion, assisted sales, less and dies, data splitting, rent to rent, rent to sales accommodations, and so on and so forth. I meant to start a YouTube channel podcast. I still don't see the difference between the two. I'm old, what can I say? And hopefully when all the Jewish holidays are finished, in 2 weeks' time, I will have the time to start recording. So follow me, you will see what I record for free. Happily married, 8 children, and last but not least, I'm a charity fundraiser, because you see me now as a partner in a law firm, a prolific property investor, developer, entrepreneur, whatever. But when I came in this country 28 years ago, in case you haven't noticed from my accent, I'm Italian, I didn't have a penny. So I benefited from charities, and I thought it was only fair that now that the situation has slightly changed, not only I give to charities, so 20% of my gross income goes to charity in any event, but I also fundraise for a specific charity every year, or help fundraising for a specific charity every year that I benefited myself. And so without further ado, so this was me. So now we talk about today's webinar. So 2023-2024 down market. What does it mean? We have seen that the market has been going up quite a lot in the last few years. Both rent values on the properties, but especially the rental values, has boomed in the last few years. It's gone up more in the last 2.5 years than the previous 8. Number of reasons, and which I wanted in today's discussion because not the point. But then towards the end of last year, beginning this year, various factors have caused the market to cool down. And at the beginning, mainly down south, and now is affecting also a bit the north and in most areas. And so most pundits are predicting at best a down market. Some people are panicking and saying, doom and gloom, there's going to be another market crash, things like that. I wouldn't go that far. But let me clarify, and I put this on record since I'm recorded. A market crash is not bad for us investors. I mean, I don't hope for a market crash, because a market crash means a lot of people are losing money, losing homes, losing jobs, and things like that. But as a property investor, if I were to be selfish, which I'm not, I like to think they're not at least, market crash is brilliant. I'm buying the same properties for much less. There is also much less competition, because when a market crashes, people panic, especially the wannabe, totally unseasoned investors don't know what they're doing. So they make mistakes, then they're out, finished. And so I have much less competition, no people making silly bids on properties. So a market crash is good, because in case you haven't studied economy, a market crash is good for buying, because you want to buy when it's low, not when it's high. Provided you're not buying to sell, because if you're buying to sell, the property that you buy today in 6 months' time is not going to worth more unless you do something to it. So a market crash is not bad. It's actually good for us property investors. Maybe it's not good for traders, property traders, sources and things like that. But I don't like sourcing, and it doesn't excite me. Just making money doesn't excite me. Just more cash flow doesn't excite me. I like to create assets, because I have 8 kids. I like to leave a legacy to them. So what are the cons of a down market? Down market means that we get low valuations. So we get less money when we buy properties from lenders. Also, lenders get scary, so they instructed the surveyor to find any excuses to further down value properties. And I remember a few years ago, I was remortgaging a pub that converted in a block of flats. And the surveyor for the bank, in order to find excuses to give such a bad valuation, on a low valuation on the flats, he used see, this is 6 flats in Bury. Don't know if you know the northwest of England. So Bury is in Greater Manchester. Is not a big area, Bury, but is not cheap. So traditionally, is not a landlord area, Bury. And so he used comparables, one in Radcliffe, which is nothing to do with Bury, different postcode, different area, and Radcliffe is cheap, and there is not much of economy there. And that in Goulburn, which was, closer to Liverpool than Manchester. And for the rental, he used as a comparables a room in an HMO in Bury. I mean, like, what is the value of a room at HMO in Bury to do with one, let alone 2-bedroom flats? But that is what happens when you have a down market and banks instructed their surveyors to down value properties. Excuse me. So there are going to be also less mortgages available because banks are scared. So less lenders, less products, and also more difficult to get lending altogether. And even whatever lending you get is not going to be cheap. And also less room for mistakes, because when you have a market going up, you make a mistake, you remortgage 12 months later that is worth more than property. So your remortgage, you get some equity out to cover your mistakes. But when you're in a down market, you cannot cover your mistake by remortgaging because next year the property is worth less. So you cannot do that. And that's the reason why green investor or untrained, unprofessional investors, when the market crashes, are more likely to lose everything, including, not just the properties, the underwear and everything, because they don't know, they cannot cover the mistakes and they make mistakes. What are the advantages? So pros in a down market. Well, there is less competition. First of all, because a lot of people are panicking, so they're not buying. Also because, as I mentioned before, the green investors, they lost their money and now they're not bidding anymore. And also prices are lower. This is a great, massive plus, because in case you haven't noticed in the last market crash or down market, even when the properties go down, the value of the properties goes down, the renters don't. Up north, when the market crashed 17 years ago, the rental values were almost totally unaffected. The values of the property went down 30%, but the rental didn't. So it means that my rental is 30% more effective. The return on the investment is much better now. So I can buy the same properties that were generating £500 a month instead of, let's say, £80,000, and now I'm paying £60,000. So, £500 now. Before I was getting 8%, 7%, now I get 10%. Much better. Also, there are much more opportunities because, in the market crashing, the people losing their jobs and the businesses and things like that, you will find more opportunities, more properties, more vendors facing repossessions, more businesses closing down, and also properties already being repossessed, they can buy cheaply. But before they get repossessed, there is opportunities for creative strategies, and there where you can get your unfair advantage against your competition, because although there is less competition, there is still competition. There are still savvy property investors like me that are buying. So it's not that it's going to be only you now buying in Birmingham or in Exeter or in Nottingham. So you still want to have an unfair advantage against your competition. And the unfair advantage comes when you can use strategies, tools, tricks, or whatever that your competition doesn't have. And especially if you have a situation like property negative equity. The market crash, now the property is worth less than the mortgage outstanding. What are you going to do? And so they're in a typical example when creative strategies can be useful. So what are the best strategies? Well, best strategies in a down market are obviously not trading. And developing it becomes also difficult, not impossible, but more difficult, because, you know, might take you, I'm not talking about converting a house. I'm talking about proper development, building 15, 20 flats or houses. Might take you a year to do the project, and in that year, the value of the properties have gone down. So you had a GDV of £2 million, and the bank lent you on that valuation, and let's say 1.5, and then 1 year later, and you are spending let's say 1.3. So you thought you're going to making £700,000 profit. 1 year later, the value of the flats now is only 1.5, and you made a profit of £200,000. And that if you thought you were making a profit of £700,000. What if you had a valuation of £2 million? You're expecting your cost to be 1.6. You thought you're making £400,000 profit. Now they're worth only 1.5. You're making a loss of £100,000. So now when you have costs going up and you're repainting or refurbishing a 2-bedroom house, you know, instead of £3,000 or £5,000, 30% more, fine. Another £2,000, maybe, you know, another 1,500. It's no big deal, you know, you find £2,000. But when you're doing a development and it's costing you £1 million and you have another 30% extra cost, that is £300,000. It's slightly harder to find £300,000 in your pocket. Trust me, guys, I went through it. I've been there. I got the t-shirt. I'm still alive, but it wasn't fun. I did the development that it cost me £350,000 more. It wasn't fun time during COVID. So you want strategies that are less risky, and also strategies that you're not reselling in the short term, because unless you manage to find a way to add a lot of value with little cost. Does it make sense? Or strategies that you can find solutions for people that are difficulties that a normal sale will not help them. So you can make win-win. So, and that brings you to creative strategies, lease option, and so on and so forth. So talking about what is a lease option? Let's start with the basic, what I call a vanilla lease option. So a lease option is the right but not the obligation to buy property. So you will have, for example, number 13 Market Street, and you will agree to buy, you have an option to buy this property within the next 6 months or 6 years or 16 years for a fixed amount of money, let's say £150,000. You will also have the right to occupy the property. So either for you to live in a property you couldn't afford to buy, no, you find a nice big house, you want to put your family, you know, quality life, near to nice schools, near to the park and things like that, but you couldn't buy it. You do a lease option and now you live in a nice house that you couldn't afford right away. Or you put tenants with a view to make money from the tenants as if it was yours. So you're making money from tenants on a property that is not yours yet. But with that comes obligations. So you were promised the vendor, for example, to pay his mortgage or a fixed amount of money every month to look after the property, maintenance. The roof leaks, it's on me. Boiler gets stolen, it's on me. Kids break the window, it's on me. And that is one of the biggest sales when you're negotiating with a vendor on a creative strategy. So why is it so good? Well, in general, but especially in this market, why is it so good? Well, I don't have to get a mortgage. I don't have to fight with the surveyor on the valuation. I don't have to push the price down on the vendor. So if the property didn't have equity or has zero equity or little equity, let alone negative equity, I can afford to be generous. Instead of offering less, I can offer more than what is worth the property because I don't pay now. I don't need to much cash because I don't have to get a mortgage and put 10, 20, 30% down because I'm not getting a mortgage. So there is less cash involved. So I'm not saying that there is no cost whatsoever. No, for sure, you have to pay the solicitors. I think it's fair. And especially if it's my law firm. I'm expecting all of you to be my clients now. I have your emails. So if you don't use my law firm, we send the boys around. Simple. So there are many reasons why lease options can be very useful and very can have a lot of benefits. But if they're so good, why most people fail? Because it's a fact. See, I speak at networking events around the country. I don't speak to networking events as much as I used to before COVID. And since COVID, I don't know, I got old, lazy, and whatever. I don't travel as much anymore. But I always enjoy when I'm on stage. Call me wicked. I don't know. This, I like to have fun on stage. I mean, I like to have fun in general. So I make fun of the crowd. And one of the things that I always ask is, how many of you, I can do even now, but I won't see your hands, but I can say, how many of you knows about these options? How many of you have been to courses on these options? Now, and whenever you speak a networking event, decent networking event, PIN, progressive or something, you see there is a large percentage of people that have been to these option courses, mentorship, masterminds, and whatever. And then I said, how many of you have done 10 lease options? If I see one in the room that has 10 lease option is rare. If I see 3, is impossible. So then I have to lower it. How many? 5. Usually I find less than 20% have done at least 2. And maybe, yeah, I don't think more than 10, 20% have done 1 or 2. So then I asked them, then it doesn't work. It's only a theory. It's a fantasy island strategy. It works only when talking, but in the real world doesn't work because there are strategies like that. However, it works. And I'm saying just because I do it. Now, maybe I have special skills, I have superpowers, and my law firm, okay, we are the most famous law firm in creative strategies, and we have done more of these options than anyone else, but we done hundreds, thousands of these options, or creative strategies, assisted sale, or things like that. So it's not a question of it doesn't work. Is that people don't know how to do it. Even after going to courses, they still don't know what to do it. Either they were not taught how to do the negotiations correctly. Now, a lot of people asking, what stops you to do these options? And often people say, oh, the vendor doesn't understand it. Well, that is your fault, not the vendor. It's not the strategy. If you don't know how to sell it, to explain it and sell it to the vendor, then you didn't learn it properly, or you were not taught properly. Or the vendors they find it difficult to understand it, or they don't like it. Or the most common reason, you know what is the most common reason why people, when they're trying to do these options, fail? Because they're taught one thing, one specific thing. Almost every person teaching this option out there, they teach this option out there, they teach it incorrectly. There is one single mistake which is capital appreciation. They get greedy, so they teach that these options are great because of the capital appreciation, right? I buy property today for £100,000. We live in this idea that every 10 years property is more or less double in this country. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But even if it can go up 70% every 10 years. So you want a lease option as long as possible, because the longer is the option, the bigger is the capital appreciation. It makes sense, right? But that is the fantasy island part of the lease option teaching, because the longer is the lease option, the longer it takes to the vendor to get paid. So when you tell the vendor, I'll pay you in 10 years' time, how many vendors are you getting saying, great, I'm happy to wait 10 years? They're more likely to say, what, 10 years? Out. So what is the mistake? The mistake is that more often than not, you don't even need the 10 years. So, but even if the vendor was willing to wait 10 years, will you rather make the money in 10 years' time or next year? Next year, right? So wouldn't it make more sense that the person teaching you this option teaches you how to make money using these option creative strategies and make the money in 12 months' time rather than in 120 months' time? You would assume that it's obvious that, but still people teach this option incorrectly. So what we are going to do now, so I showed you what is a valid lease option, and I showed you what in theory is good at and what most people fail. So now we may take it to the next stage and we look about some advanced creative strategies, depending on time. Whoa, it's already half an hour has passed. Times flies when you're having fun, isn't it? So the first strategies for today is the ugly duckling. I don't know why my slides sometimes go backwards. So can you see on the photo on the left, what do you think is missing? Kitchen. House without a kitchen means what? Unmortgageable. So this one was a property in East Manchester. Oh, that was 15 years ago. You can see for the prices. So the property was worth not much, really. So it was on the market for already a year. 3 kids owned it, meaning, they were not literally kids. They were over 20 or 3. Grandpa died, grandchildren inherited. And after 12 months on the market, the property, the higher offer that they could get, only cash buyer could buy, right? It's mortgageable. The higher offer that they got was £35,000. It wasn't an unfair offer. I think it was more or less fair. You know, you buy cash, you want to buy cheap, right? Especially if you buy in cash. The problem for them was that they had an outstanding mortgage of £40,000, meaning if they sell it at £35,000, they're losing £5,000. So in order to sell, they would have to chip in £5,000. They're not going to do that, are they? So after 12 months in the head office, £35,000, they're a bit resigned with the idea that maybe they cannot sell it right now. Do you think I have a captive audience when I offered them £45,000? 25% more than any other offer after 12 months? Of course I do. Offer them £45,000. Now, if you, and they're interested now, right? Do you think they're still interested if I tell them I pay you in 10 years' time? I don't think so. So what was the, do I need 10 years to put a kitchen, repaint and recarpet a 2-bedroom house? 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So in reality, I want a 3 months, maybe a 6 months lease option to be on the safe side. No, they've been already for 12 months going nowhere. So waiting 6 months, especially in today's market where conveyance is taking longer and banks and mortgages, things like that, they can wait that. We spent, I still remember, we spent 3,150 doing it up. We sold it £75,000. So we made a profit of approximately £27,000. Is that a good result? On a property was never mine? Now you can tell me, but Shimon, I don't need to do any lease option, ugly duckling, Cinderella or whatever here. I can just do it in the normal way. I buy it for £45,000. I do it up and resell it. What's the difference? Well, what's the difference, guys? Well, there are 2 differences. The one is tax. This is from a tax point of view, it's better if you do it this way. I'm not giving you tax advice. Speak to a tax advisor. If you don't have a property tax advisor, but means email me, I put in touch with my guy. I don't have shares, I don't get commissions. He's just a great guy that helped me for the past 15 years. So I owe him a debt of gratitude. And so, but the most important thing is, if I do it in the normal way, after I did it up, now I bought it £45,000. I spent 5 weeks to do it up. Can I resell it right away? No. 6 months rule. So if I have £50,000 in my pocket, I can do one of these projects every 6 months. So I make £27,000 every 6 months. Not the end of the world, but I can do better. Why? Because if I do an ugly duckling on assisted sale or release option or whatever, the 6 months rule doesn't apply. If I do it on my way, instead of doing one every 6 months, first of all, the 6 months rule doesn't apply. So I can resell it after the first 5 weeks, right? Also, I don't need £45,000 to do the project, or 48. I need only £3,000. So if I have 50,000 pounds in my pocket, I can do 16 of them every month, which is 192 a year. Which one is better, 2 a year or 192 a year? Which is better, normal way or Shimon way? Can you see the power of creative strategies? Did I have to tell the vendor I want 10 years? Did I even have to push down the price? No, I can be generous, I can be quick, and I still make a lot of money. Do you think that in this present market and in the coming down market, there are going to be less or more properties in the area where you invest, where people are in financial difficulties or in negative equity? What do you think? Of course, they're going to be more. Already now there are. They're going to be even more and more. So if you stick to the normal way of buying properties, you're not closing deals. If you learn how to do this, I'm not saying that I taught you everything, but I'm trying to open your mind. You can do 192 of this. So do you think that there are deals like this in the area where you invest? Of course there are. Do you know why you're not closing deals like this? Choo, 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 because you're trend spotting. People comes to me and says, Shimon, there are no deals out there. I look at them and says, what? It's like to tell me, Shimon, it's always sunny and there is 40 degrees every day in Manchester. You are daydreaming. There are plenty deals out there. Okay, I don't buy residential properties anymore. The last few years, I'm mainly only buying large commercial units to convert in blocks of flats. But my law firm is as busy as ever. Plenty deals there. Whenever I used to buy residential properties, same thing is a commercial now, but it's different. I never had to spend a lot of time to find deals. It takes me certainly longer to raise finance. Whether at the beginning I used to raise finance from angel investors and then joint venture partners, and anyone that has a lot of money just come to me, of course. And finding deals, I can find deals quite quickly because I know what I'm looking for and I know how to structure. So are the deals out there? Yes. You're not making money in property right now. The problem is you. You're not closing deals every month. The problem is you. You don't negotiate deals every month. The problem is you. Shall we see another strategy? Next strategy. Slice and dice. So here you have a 4-bedroom, semi-detached house. You know, these kind of properties, double bay fronted, they're all the same. Here the vendor was what I call an unprofessional landlord, not in a rude way, not it was naughty. He was someone that never went to courses or mentorship or anything else. He was in IT, also making a lot of money every month, and he had the insight that from time to time instead of just spending all the money he was making, putting aside some money, and then every couple of years he bought a property. So he bought this property 6 years ago. And he was lucky that he has the same tenant with 4 kids, same family with 4 kids for 6 years, 7 years. Now they moved out with 4 kids. You can imagine the house needed everything again. He went to a builder. The builder realized that he was as green as green. So he gave us an astronomical quote. The landlord didn't realize that he was taken by the nose and said, whoa, I don't have that kind of money. So what should I do? I'll put it on the market. If I find a needy willing to buy it, I'll sell it. And if I don't find a needy willing to buy, after 3 months, I will have the money to do it up because I make a lot of money every month. Why did he think that he needed an idiot to sell? Because once done up, the property is worth £200,000. So he puts it on the market right now for how much? Before doing the works? £200,000 now. Realistic? Not really. Did he find an idiot willing to buy this property? Yes, of course, guys. What do you think? That I show you deals that didn't go through. We didn't do this one, we didn't do this one, and we didn't do this one either. Of course, we bought this property. Actually, this one was my business partner, not mine, to be fair. And I don't like to pretend that deals that are mine, they're not mine, they're mine. And so what happened? He wanted £200,000. We gave him £200,000. Was it worth £200,000? No, but I don't care what is worth now, the property. What it counts is what I can do with it. I would have even paid more than £200,000. Why? What am I going to do this property now? I gave you 2 hints. The first hint, guys, is the title, Slice and Dice. What do you think we're talking about here? Domino pizza? Dice and slice. And the most important hint was the description of the property, guys. Because this property has all the same. They have the door in the middle, the corridor in the middle, the staircase in the middle. And these two divide the properties in 2 parts, practically. So it's not that difficult to put a flat on the right, a flat on the left, and the same upstairs. Things the reverse. Instead of a 4-bedroom Victorian double bed front of house, you have a 4-bedroom ex-council house. The door is not necessary in the middle. Certainly, there is no corridor and landings and things like that, because that have waste of space that council will not waste it. So in ex-council houses, you go from one room to the next one and then to the next one. The staircase is never in the middle, just going up, is on the side. And so you move it in the middle, and now when you go up, you find yourself in the toilet because the staircase was never meant to be there. So we divided in 4 flats. We got a valuation of each flat just short of £100,000 to sell them quickly. Another important tip to people when they say, oh, I built 4 flats and I sold them right away at market value. Unless those 4 flats are on Baker Street, Mayfair, I don't know. If you want to sell 4 flats very quickly, you have to sell them at discount. Simple. So instead of £100,000, we sold them for 85, 85, 85, and 75, which makes how much? 330. It's not that the 4th one was worth. I have 3 buyers. I want to sell the 4th one and move to my next project. 330 less the purchase price of 200 less the £45,000. Oh, sorry, the development that was 14 years ago, £45,000. Nowadays, with £45,000, you do 1 flat if you're lucky. And if the council doesn't come up with some crazy things, because I don't know you guys, I don't know how many you are in commercial conversions and developments, but I feel that every 6 months, council invent new demands. And so demands that they used to make 15 years ago is nothing, you know. We barely was insulation. Now there is acoustic insulation, fair enough, but they start asking first light reports. Does the person living in this house gets enough light from the windows? If you want a light, go to live in Abu Dhabi, not in Manchester. But whatever. The latest one that I had from Suffolk Council in one of my developments, they asked me, we did a little extension of 2 meters by 3 on the side of the pub for the entrance. And they asked me a rain report. We had to calculate how much rain that little flat roof was going to generate. We are in Manchester, in the land of rain. What do you care if it's how much water it's generating? But that is so for council. In any event, so £45,000 was the cost of the development. So the profit is 330 less 45 less 200 is £85,000. Do you think £85,000 is a good result on a property that was never mine? Now, what else can I do here to even make more than £85,000? After I sold the 4 flats, what can I do? The freehold. So we created 4 leaseholds, and we sold the leaseholds. Each flat is a leasehold, but we still have the freehold. How much is the freehold worth? Well, that depends how much money the freehold makes. So when we drafted the lease, we thought it was fair that each leaseholder should have paid £250 a month. Sorry, I'm becoming greedy in my old age. £250 a year is service charge, and so the freehold makes £1,000 a year. So if you put it in an auction, you should get easily £15,000, because that is the ultimate secure, the only secure form of investment or passive investment in property. Because I know that people, especially people running courses and mentorships, and except me, and will claim that property investment is passive. It isn't in any form or shape. And only tenants think that you don't have to do anything to make money, and people selling the dreams and sugar-coated courses. But owning a freehold on a block of flats, it is real passive, because you don't have to chase the leaseholder for the £250. Because trust me, if he doesn't pay the 250, he loses the whole flat. He's not going to forget that. And if he forgets, even better, I get the flat. So 85 plus 15, £100,000. Now pay attention, very important tip, guy. 6-digit figure profit, always better than 5-digit figure profit every day. So how many of you think that you have a nice big Victorian houses in the areas that you invest? I suspect all of you. So all of you, this is negotiate, well, just saw at right move on property filter, 4-bedroom houses, 5-bedroom houses. So how many of you have converted these 4 5-bedroom houses in 6-digit figures or 7-digit figures? Because this one was over a decade ago. How many? I don't see messages coming. You know why? Choo-choo, choo-choo, because you're train spotting. Yeah, there are no this or that. There are. Go on property filter, see how many 5-bedroom houses there are. Are there for sale 4-bedroom houses? Yes. Have you made a 6-digit figure profit? No. Then the problem is you. It's not the market. It's not the lenders. It's not the banks. It's not the surveyors. It's not the estate agent. It's you. Take responsibility for what you're failing. Because until you don't accept that the reason why you're not making money and closing a lot of deals is you will not try to change that. You need to change something. Maybe you don't know how to negotiate, or maybe you don't know how to do the marketing, or maybe you don't know how to structure the deals. Learn. Next strategy, the IMOC. So this is what we call an impossible deal. So as you can see from the brickwork, now this is an ex-council house, and this is a 3-bed and terrace. Sorry, photography is not one of my skills. There is a gable wall there, but you don't see it. I missed the gable wall in the photo. So this is actually the back of the property. You can enter only from the back. From the front, it is pedestrian. The back is where you come with the car. So what's the story here? This property was in East Manchester. Open show, as it happens. I still have it. And the price is worth best £60,000. It didn't. I wouldn't. Once I get it, I will need to redecorate it a bit, and but not much. But whatever I do to it, it will not be worth more than £6,000. £6,000 is really the ceiling there at the time. 13 years ago, I think, 14 years ago, this property, and the vendor wanted £51,000. So when I asked him, I said, why 51? You know, it's an odd number. It's not 50, it's not 55, 51. And he answered me, is because I have a mortgage of £25,000 and a secure loan of 26, hence 51. Okay, fair enough. When I asked him, why is he selling? That is the most important question you have to ask a vendor. It's not that is the first question you ask him, of course. So I'm sure that someone taught you. If not, someone will have to teach you. You have to be rapport, how to be rapport, things like that. But basically, the most important piece of information you have to come out when speaking with the vendor, if not the first meeting, or probably the second meeting, is why you're selling. You have to find why they're selling, because most people selling their homes, they're not selling to make a profit. They're not property investors. They're not trading. They have a problem or a need. They lost their job, they're relocating, they're going through a divorce, so there is a family bereavement. Doesn't need to be something bad. No, maybe they have 2 extra kids now. So before they had only 1, now they have 3 kids. The 2-bedroom house is not big enough anymore, or 3-bedroom house. So maybe grandma started to live in there because so she had an accident. So they need a bigger house, maybe, or maybe they have to downsize. So they think that by selling the property, they will address the problem or need. So if you find the way to address the problem or need without selling the property, then clearly you can make it win-win. But the only way you can find out what is the problem or need is by asking. You have to find it. You cannot solve the problem or the need without knowing. And of course, you cannot enter a house and say, oh, very nice. Are you facing repossession? How are you financially? Are you getting bankrupt? You know, have you lost your job? They're more likely to kick you out even quicker than if you tell them I'll pay you in 10 years time like this. So you have to learn how to be rapport with the vendors. So He told me we needs 51,000 pounds. So when I asked him why is he selling, he told me he's facing repossession. Hence why he's selling. So I knew then and there that 51,000 pounds will not be enough, because most people in financial difficulties tend to forget their debts. Yes, there was a mortgage of 25 and a secure loan of 26, but he hasn't paid them for the past year. So there was over 7,000 pounds worth of arrears, and building insurance, gas, electricity, water, council tax. No, he didn't pay anything. He didn't have to. He wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't the typical can be asked to work or spend all his money in women and booze or whatever. And although this is an ex-publican, the guy. And in the last few years, life has been very unfair to him. And his employer made him redundant illegally. He had the surgery. The bank was not nice to him. They did something naughty. So for me was, yes, there's going to be much bigger challenge now, much harder as a situation. But I have the opportunity of making money and helping someone. Great situation for me. I don't have to close a deal every week to have bread on my table. Even if I don't close a deal for 2 months, I still have various sources of income and multiple sources of stream of income, the firm, the properties, the commercials, and things like that. Because this guy, it couldn't be solved in an easy way, because in practice he's in negative equity. So he has 51,000 pounds of mortgages, secure loan, over 7,000 pounds worth of debts. So if I want to buy this property in a normal way, I will have to pay more than 60,000 pounds. Will I pay more than 60,000 pounds? The property was 60,000 pounds. No, I wouldn't even pay 51. The property was 60. No, I want to make a profit. But in case you didn't notice so far, what we're doing is trying to add value to the property. So, okay, it's worth only 60 now. Maybe I can do something here to add value to the property, right? But what can I do? Can I make it into an HMO? Not really, because these ex-council houses, the 3-bedroom ex-council houses, they have only one lounge downstairs, and upstairs, the 3rd bedroom is a shoebox. It is where you put the cot. That's it. So no HMO. Okay, maybe I can convert it into flats. For now, of course, 2 flats, one upstairs, one downstairs. Well, in the first instance, I wasn't very confident the council would say yes, because this was three rows of ex-council houses, and most of them were still owned by the council. But more importantly, economically, didn't make any sense, because to create 2 flats would have cost me at least 20,000 pounds. Each flat is worth only 40,000 pounds. I buy 60, I spend 20, so my overall cost is 80,000 pounds, and the GDV is still 80. Not clever. So no flats. Okay, maybe I can do something with the land. No, this is the backyard. That's it. That's it. There is no land at the side. I mean, there is a park at the side, but it's not his. And so I couldn't use even a divide and conquer, a different strategy with using land. What can I do? So usually I make it interactive when I'm speaking on stage or when I'm lecturing or teaching courses. I cannot do it now with all of you guys, so I will give you directly the answer. What we did, we convinced the bank. So if you do a normal lease option, it won't work, because the mortgage payments are 306 on the mortgage and 660 on the secure loan. And at the time, that area, that was very much DSS area at the time, housing benefit actually. DSS just stopped the year before. I've been a long time, if I still remember DSS. And so at the time, you could get more from housing benefits than privates. It's changed. The area, now I get more from privates than DSS. But at the time, it was mainly that. So there was a period in Greater Manchester, in Manchester City Council, that you could get on a 3-bedroom for 620. Only lasted for like 6 months. Before and after, it's always been 595. Until then, he went on universal credit. So, but even if I get 620, even if I don't have any maintenance, no management fees or anything, if I get this property on this option, and I promise the vendor to pay his mortgages, because that is what you pay, offered, right? I will be losing £346 every month. Great. Who wants this thing now? Any taker? Any taker? No. You will regret it. Do you know the expression who says he can, who says he can't, are usually both right? Success is first here. If you don't think you're going to succeed, you're right. You're not going to succeed. If you don't think there is a deal here, you're right. There is no deal for you. If you think that you're only losing money here, you're right. You will be losing money, but not Shimon Rudich. Because what did I do? We convinced the lenders to go from capital repayments on interest only. So instead of 306 became 61, and instead of 606 became 132. So instead of a total down payment monthly down payment of 966, became only 193. A huge difference. We completely transformed the deal. Instead of losing 346, now we are making 427. A difference 773 pounds per month without converting HMO, let alone into flats, just by using my brain, my creative mind. Great result? Now, I'm such an unfair guy that I give you the result and I take it away from you, because since then it became much more difficult for banks to agree to go on interest only. The FSA, was still the FSA, the time came up with the white paper called the forbearance paper. Well, you don't even know probably that there are 3 acts of the parliament that regulate mortgages in this country. Not all 3 regulate all mortgages. Some mortgages are regulated by 1 act of the parliament, some for another, and some by 2 of them, but never all 3. So on the one hand, it's much more difficult that a bank will agree to go in interest only. On the other hand, if you know what you're doing, it's much easier to stop repossessions now. And so to postpone them and delay them. When I used to buy residential properties and go to court and stop any possessions, and I could postpone and delay a repossession for at least a year. I could spin it for a really long time. I was on the blacklist of several banks that really hated me. I took it as a badge of honor, and especially G Money. They always lost in court with me. The solicitor G Money, you really used to hate me. Now, this lady was a bad loser. She would refuse even to talk to me after leaving the court. I'm not instructed to speak to you. You need instructions to speak to me. Just because you lost in court, you know. In any event, so if you cannot convince the banks to go in interest only, what do? You give up? Will you let Bobby get repossessed? Is not a theoretical question, it's a practical question, because 6 months after this, we had one very similar where the second lender refused to go on interest only. It was economic suicide because the proof was a negative equity. So they were the second lender, not the first lender. So they would never got all the money back, but they were determined to go to court. What do you think? I gave up? You never give up. So what did I do? I spent a lot of time doing my due diligence. You know, when you do due diligence on the bank, because it's not just the due diligence on the paper and then on the legalities and the acts and the contract and checking that I didn't do anything wrong, then you also do your due diligence on the bank. And when you do due diligence, Google is the best way to do due diligence on banks usually. When you do check something on Google, do you check only the first page? What about the second page? How many of you have been to page 3? Page 5? I'm not saying looking for something, you know, you want to buy, I don't know, Man United jersey second hand or fake cheaply. I'm talking about something on checking on a bank. Something really, really boring. Will you go to page 5? I doubt it. But that is where you start finding the fun. Because then we find out that the lender changed name. Actually, we find out that the lender changed name. And in the previous name, changed name twice, and then HSBC bought them up. And they got the biggest fine the FSA gave to a bank at the time, because the practices were not fair. I'm not talking about now that it's been disclosed that every bank has been lying to us. At the time, we didn't even know the banks were lying to us, and they were like a monopoly and fixing the rate and the thing like that. So I use that to my advantage. So have you ever negotiated with the bank when, you know, it's like, let me make it simple. Have you ever been in a bazaar, in a shuk or something like that, like in Marrakesh and Istanbul and or Cairo, Jerusalem, you know, the principle is the same in the negotiations. I mean, there are a few zeros difference, but the same. Now, they ask 10, you want to pay 7, so you offer 5 and you meet somewhere in the middle, right? So the same thing with banks. They want £33,000. So how much I offer them? 0. I thought 0 was a great starting point. When I have to justify the 0, I said, you made this and this mistake, so we don't think that your loan is valid. Do you think I had any expectation to win in court? None whatsoever. I knew that. Did they make the mistake? Yes, I didn't lie. They made a mistake. Were they naughty? Yes. Will the FSA find them? Probably. But will I win in court? No. But what did I achieve? I scared them. I scared the shit out of them. Now they're panicking. Now it says, oh, so finally after 7 months, 9 months, that my letters, the vendor's letters, my solicitor's firm letters, officially my law firm was, acting pro bono, and it was my wife's company in case buying the property, no connection whatsoever. And so they finally, the solicitor for the bank got in touch with us. Oh, we didn't realize that you were going to fight it, because I put in defense and counterclaim that they shouldn't get a penny. I said, well, I've been writing to you 9 months. What else can I do? You never replied to my letters. So, and they said, oh, will you agree on a postponement? Can you, because we had the court hearing the week after. I mean, it wasn't proper hearing. His first hearing is just judge in chambers, his allocations. The judge decides date, how many days are needed, how many witnesses, evidence, something like that. And so, and what do you think when they ask me, so why do you need a postponement? So we think we can convince our client to settle out of court. So do I want to settle out of court? Of course. I just told you guys that if I go to court, sale cost is going to cost me a fortune. Litigation is not cheap. You never see litigation solicitors poor. Conveyancing solicitor, yes, but litigation solicitors, no. So I wanted to settle out of court, yes. So did I say yes? No, I said no. Why? Why do you think if I wanted to settle out of court, I told them, no, I don't give you the extension? There are 2 forms of negotiation, guys. I don't know how many of you have been to courses, mentorships, or anyone taught you negotiations. But in general, let alone entering into various negotiation techniques like higher authority, the need, things like that. But there are 2 forms of negotiation as attitude. Friendly negotiation and unfriendly negotiation. When you're negotiating with the vendor, you are his mate. And you're not on the other side of the table, you're on his side of the table. So if you have to push him down on the price, it's never you that is pushing down. It's my mate, it's my boss, it's my colleague that is stingy. No, it's always someone else. I'm on your side. When you're negotiating with the bank, then no, that is unfriendly, because the bank is not trying to find a win-win solution. They only care about themselves. Not the expression that the bank is like someone willing to lend you an umbrella only when it's not raining. They lend you money only if you already have money. And if they're fighting for repossession, they're not trying to find what is fair. They're trying to get all the money back, or as much as they can. So they don't care about win-win. So it's not a friendly negotiation. Unfriendly negotiation is like war. What is the best book of war ever written? Art of War, Sun Tzu. What does it teach you that's still relevant today? Deceive the enemy. If you're close, make them think you're far. If you're small, make them think you're big. So if I want to settle out of court, I have to make them think that I don't want to settle out of court. So when they ask me for a postponement, I said, no, we'd like to go to court. And the guy was like, what? I thought you wanted to settle out of court. I says, yes, we wanted. But now, we have barrister opinion, we put defense and counterclaim. We're happy to have our day in court. We still settle out of court. I still gave them the postponement eventually. But first I made them sweat, because there is no worse position than finding your opposition, not knowing what your opposition wants. Now they don't know what they want. The bank is panicking, the solicitor is panicking. They don't know what Shimon wants. And that is exactly where I want them. They don't know what I want, so they don't have a plan of action. So instead of £33,000, we paid £13,000. Do you think 60% discount is fair? I think it's absolutely fair with banks. And I think it was the only time, actually I did it once again on a commercial unit. I bought it cash and I remortgaged 2 months later. and I got even more money. Usually I don't take more money than I spend. I like to have equity. But in this case, I took £5,000 more than what I spent. I paid it because it was my way, the legal way to say to the bank, because, you know, not only I got the property without having to pay a penny, I even got money and it still comes flowing because you were naughty people. They were naughty doing. They were really naughty. So do you think there are people in financial difficulties in the areas where you invest, guys? Of course there are. Do you think there are going to be even more in a down market? Of course there are. So how many of you have made money from people that are in financial difficulties, saved them from repossession, saved them from bankruptcy, and made 5, 6-digit figures? How many? Choo-choo, choo-choo. You're not making the money because you're not doing it right. How many times I have to tell you? Learn how to do it right. Because the deals, there are plenty of deals out there. There are loads of deals out there. If you don't believe me, ask Gilliam. He will tell you there's no profit filter. There are loads of deals there. But if you don't know how to negotiate them, if you don't know how to get creative, if you don't know how to use different strategies, either you do the same thing as everybody else, then you pay more than everybody else if you want the deal, or the deal doesn't stack up. Oh no, it's in negative equity. Can do nothing here. Bye. Well, bye for you, money for me. Thank you very much. Next strategy. This is a piece of brownfield, just to show that it's not a matter of residential property. And it can be residential, commercial. This was land. In fairness, it's not even a question of property. The question is, do you know what you're doing or you don't know what you're doing? If you know what you're doing, you will make money. If you don't know what you're doing, maybe you make money, maybe you lose money. More likely you lose money. Maybe you make money at the beginning, but eventually you lose money, because any business based on this form of knowledge will not take you very far. So this was a piece of land it was over a decade ago, and in a decent area, but not worth developing. Like in most areas in the northwest of England, in many areas in northwest England, 10 years ago, it was cheaper to buy than to build. I have bought flats for £20,000, and actually, to be correct, 18.5, because there was £1,500 on the service that we got it back. Okay, it's a long story, but would never cost me £18,000. Not even 30 years ago would have cost me just to build £18,000 a flat. So what's the situation? So what you want to do is to hold the land until the values of the properties go up, and then you develop, right? Nothing new. It's called land banking. It's been around since Cromwell or something. So the vendors wanted £200,000 for this piece of land that was not worth £200,000, was not generating any money, actually was costing them money, because, you know, when you have land, people in this country like to tip. I mean, I come in from Italy, they tip even if the land is not empty in Italy. But the amusing thing in this country is that if someone tips in your land, even if you can prove it's not yours, you're still responsible. And if you don't get rid of the rubbish in your land, you get fined for people throwing rubbish in your land. Great. So they wanted £200,000. The property is not worth £200,000. So first we did what we call a 10-10. 10 years, 10%. So they want £200,000. They don't even have an offer of £200,000 because it's not worth £200,000. So we offer them 220. They don't have any offer, and we offer them more than asking price. You think having a captive audience right now? Of course. And then we asked them for 10 years. Actually, from a negotiation point of view, and if you have the time in the question and answer, by all means, ask me and explain you why. We ask 5 and 5. And we offered them not to pay his mortgage, because maybe there was a mortgage, maybe there was no mortgage, and even there was a mortgage on this piece of land, probably was peanuts. So we offered them to pay £650. And so it's a proper lease. Well, when I say proper lease, it's because when people talk about lease option, one easy way to see if someone actually knows a little bit of lease option, because a lot of people teach, that experts, people become experts after 2 years in properties. And property is only business where after 2 years you're experts. And if you're a solicitor, after 2 years, you're a junior solicitor. If you're a barrister, after 2 or 3 years, you're still a junior barrister. In property, you will see there are 200 property experts in the market, and 190 of them, they've been in the market only for a couple of years, but they're experts. So if you see people teaching or talking about lease option, and you ask them, is there a lease in a lease option on a residential property? If they say yes, you know already that the guy knows nothing, because there is no lease in a lease option. So if they answer correctly that there is no lease, ask them, so why is it called the lease option? If they don't know why, again, you know that you're talking with someone that does the talk but not the walk. So, but on a commercial, you will usually use a lease. And so we offer him to pay every month £650 a month. So for the guy was good. He's getting paid every month on a piece of land that was costing money, and he knows that eventually he's getting paid £220,000 on a property, on a land that's not worth £220,000. For me, it's good because in 10 years' time, I can develop it and put, let's say, 20 flats. I'm waiting that the flats are worth £150,000 each. So it's worth developing that. But in the meantime, I have to pay £650 a month. And I'm not in the business of losing money every month. I have kids, 8. You need to be a multi-million, mega billionaire to survive with 8 kids, guys. So, or at least make enough money to become a millionaire and then still be on the breadline. And so what do I do for the next 10 years with this piece of land? Well, the hint again is in the title, Storage Millionaire. Those storage containers, those ugly metal boxes at the back of lorries, literally worth in weight, because it's the metal. Now, I'm not suggesting you buy them, hide them. So when my business partner did this a few years ago, we calculated we could put 50 containers. If we hide them in bulk, it cost us only £40 per month each, so it's £2,000. But we can hire them out on a one-to-one basis for at least £100 a month. So 50 containers, £100 is 5,000, less 650 of the lease, less the £2,000 of hiring the containers, means that we're making a net profit every month of £2,350, which is £28,200 a year. After 10 years, we made £282,000 profit, and we still didn't do anything with the land. Now, let's say in 10 years' time, these 20 flats are worth £3 million. Let's say that I don't want to play Bob the Builder. I don't want to dirty my hands. I want to sell the land as it is, with planning permission for the 20 flats, of course. So how much is worth the land? Well, there is an easy rule of thumb, is a rule of thumb, so it's not precise, among developers that says a third, a third, and a third. A third should be the cost of acquisition, a third should be the cost of development, and a third should be the profit for the developer. If you get a quarter in this market as a profit for the developer, you're doing well. But on that basis, more or less, the land is worth, so if the GDV is £3 million, the land is worth more or less £1 million. But how much does it cost me, the land, for me to acquire it? Only 220, because I took an option 10 years ago without planning permission. So first of all, the value of the land went up. Secondly, I added, the huge adding is getting planning, and I have 10 years to get planning. So even if I'm not great, and even if I have a council that is £1.50, eventually we get planning in 10 years. So let's say I want to sell the land, it's £780,000 profit, plus the 282 we made from the storages. Yes, we are all millionaires. Oh no, I forgot. Choo choo, choo choo, you're still train spotting, because you cannot tell me you never passed in front of a piece of land that was undeveloped. But why would you care to find out if it is a piece of land that can be developed? Maybe it's a greenbelt, no, but maybe it can be developed. Maybe you can. And you try to find who owns it. Nah, why would you do that? We are not property investors. We are amateurs, are we? Last strategies for today, exchange delay completion. Oh, we had better be quick because really going out of time. And I want to do the question and answer because it's fun. So, exchange delay completion. What's an exchange delay completion? Now, exchange delay completion is when you buy property in a normal way, you exchange today and complete next week, or exchange today and complete in 4 weeks' time. With an exchange and completion, we exchange today and we complete maybe in 6 months' time or 6 years' time. And in the meantime, we also have the right to occupy the property, which in the normal way we wouldn't, with a view either to put tenants or to do works on the property to add value. Well, then it sounds like a lease option. What's the difference then between exchange rate completion and option? They sound exactly the same. We exchange now, we complete sometimes in the future. In the meantime, we control the property. It's the same thing, is it? No, it isn't. Now, again, when I'm lecturing and teaching students or mentees is interactive, so I will get you to answer. So I can't hear. So the first answer I get most usually, and when I'm lecturing, is the people says, "Oh, you have exchange. There is a contract. You have exchange." First of all, as if on a lease option there is no contract. No, it's written on a piece of paper, on a napkin. Of course, there is a contract on a lease option. Then tell me, "Oh yes, but what I mean is that in an exchange on an option you don't have to buy, correct? On an exchange rate completion you have to buy. You have exchanged." Yes, it's true. You have to buy, and if you don't buy, what happens? Punch in the face. What happens if you don't buy once you exchange contract on a property? You use the deposit. Now, have you noticed how much I usually my deposit on my credit strategies? The famous £1. Having said that, to be fair to you, in standard condition of sales for residential properties in the UK, there is a clause that says that independently of how much is your deposit, if you don't complete, you have to pay 10%. But if you use the right solicitors, I can recommend someone, and you ask them to take the clause out, or if you just do it on a company, and the company only have that property and no other assets, if you don't complete, what happens? There's a company that has no assets, you lost nothing. So the idea that an exchange rate completion is more secure than a lease option, either for you or for the vendor, is a gimmick. It's a way to kind of smoke and mirrors. And I know that there are people that teach that exchange rate completion was secure. Rubbish. There is no legal basis for that. I actually even seen a solicitor once saying that, and I remember that I publicly wrote on Facebook, that was 10 years ago, saying, when was the last time you drafted one? Because I don't see any reason why you should be. And he got upset, but he never replied. And so the fact that it's more secure is a gimmick, and any person that tells you that it's more secure just shows that how much he knows about exchange rate completion, all these options or credit strategies. Zero. So if there is, then means what do you mean, Shimon? That there is no difference? Of course there are differences. You know, when me and Eve wrote the manuals with 55 strategies, it wasn't the same strategy with 55 different names. Each strategy has some differences. So there are several differences between exchange rate completion and lease option. For today, because we don't have a lot of time, I mentioned two differences. One is tax. They're more likely to be regulated by different tax regimes. For example, stamp duty. On a lease option, stamp duty is due on completion. When you buy property in a normal way and you exchange today, you complete it next week, stamp duty is due on exchange or on completion. When most of you will be surprised to find out that the stamp duty is actually due on exchange of contracts. But the inland revenue gives you 4 weeks to pay it, and usually when you buy property in a normal way, you exchange and complete within 4 weeks. But if you exchange, let's say, an off-plan flat, which exchange 9 completion is next year, you have to pay stamp duty now. So on that basis, a lease option usually is better than an exchange rate completion from a tax point of view. Again, whenever you do something creative, speak to a tax advisor, a property tax advisor, not general tax advisor. So when this is better than lease option? Well, then is that when there are some vendors that will never ever agree on a lease option, but they might agree on short exchange rate completions. First example is probate. The trustee in probate cannot agree on a lease option because it's conditional, but they might agree on a short exchange rate completion, like 3 months, 6 months. And the second one is councils. Do you know that councils sell houses in this country? How many of you have bought properties from councils? Sad story. You didn't even know. You never bought property on councils. You missed another boat here. But so, and some councils will do exchange rate completion. So this is 40 Bowman Street in Eccles, Salford. I did an exchange with a completion with the council here, I think it was 12 years ago, something like that. So this one was a property that the council had to CPO. It was abandoned, it had some serious subsidence, and it was empty for 18 years, I think, 18 years before I bought it. So it was very bad shape, very, very bad shape. I'll show you what it was look like inside. So this is the furniture when we enter in. Skylight always add value to properties. And now you see, now you don't, because the subsidence on this is a Victorian house, right? This property suffered subsidence for 95 years. So even if it wasn't very severe at the beginning, 95 years of subsidence unchecked means we couldn't fix it anymore. So in our proposal to the council, we put that we have to knock down 40% of the building and rebuilding from foundations. If we didn't put that in our proposal to the council realized that we were charlatans, cowboys, and we never get the deal. That's the reason why I can teach this strategy, not only now that I do commercial, but even when I was doing residentials. I don't mind to teach this strategy, even to people invest in Manchester, because in the nicest possible way, you're not competition to me. I know exactly what the council wants to see in the proposal. I know exactly what the council wants to see at the end result. So even if you offer more than me, I will still get the deal. My offer wasn't the highest one. Not only wasn't the highest one, my offer was even less than what the council paid to CPO this property. CPO, compulsory purchase order, in case you didn't know. Because the council CPO this property for £34,700, and we bought it for 20. Actually, we didn't even pay 20 because it was an exchange rate completion. So we exchanged. We paid the 20 at the end. So this is my building team. Remember, I have 8 kids, 2 building teams now. Cheapest this way. And so, but did I put it back as a 4-bedroom house? I have to rebuild the back, right? Excuse me. So we extended the back a little bit, still within the building line, so I don't need to get planning permission. But now the kitchen is big enough to be kitchen and lounge. So this is the kitchen and lounge. And the other 2 lounges becomes 2 bedrooms. On the first floor, there were 4 bedrooms. I lose 1 bedroom because I had to add another bathroom, actually shower and toilet separate. So I have 3 bedrooms on the first floor. And then on the loft, remember, we have to redo the loft, the roof and everything. You can see through. So we put a dormer window at the back. Again, no, I don't need planning permission for that under permitted development. So we could stick 2 bedrooms in the loft. What was the loft? Now is the second floor. So now it's a 7-bedroom HMO. So I right away added value. So, and we paid £20,000. Refurbishment was £90,000. When remortgage, you go to all the 110 back. The monthly mortgage payment was 650. So the net cash flow was £1,400 more or less every month. Not a bad result on a property that I took all the money back, right? And then I think it was 4 years ago, my business partner asked me to sell because he was getting his daughter married. They needed the cash. So we sold it for £285,000. I mean, I didn't want to sell in fairness, but you know, you don't argue with business partners, especially nice business partners. I don't like to argue to begin with. So, yeah, £175,000 profit on a property that I didn't leave a penny. So the return was great. It's not a bad result, is it? So do you think there are properties where the council sells? Yes, there are. How many of you have bought properties from councils? Choo-choo! How many of you have made 5 or 6 digit figure profit on a property from council? Choo-choo! You're still train spotting, guys. So I leave you now, finish with the strategies. I'm going to show what I've been doing recently. Actually, show you my latest project. And not because I like to show off, I don't. I don't have expensive cars or clothes or expensive watches. I didn't even go on holiday this year. I just stayed home with my kids. And I mean, some of the kids went on holiday by themselves, so the oldest one. But the purpose of the exercise, I'm trying to inspire you. Because if I can do it, why shouldn't be able you to do it? So, and also, a lot of people go on stage and pretend to be experts. and most of them just do the talk. I mean, I also do the talk, but I do more walk than talk. And since you see how much I talk, you can only imagine. So my latest project was in Southport, near to the sea. It used to be a derelict nightclub. And when we bought it, was empty for already 3 years. It wasn't in great shape. So this is the point. So they wanted 550,000. They asked me 500,000 pounds or 550 for downstairs and for the pub. And I told them, keep it. So instead I got the first floor and the second floor for 150,000 pounds. And we converted in 16 flats, 12 one-bedroom flats and 4 two-bedroom flats. We bought it just before COVID. Guys, I never had so many challenges as here. I had a business partner that went from stupid to idiot to dishonest and cost me a lot of money. He was meant to put the money, didn't give the money. Then he created me problems. And then I had the bank that promised me the money, asked me to start the works, and then would they send me the money. I started the works. Then COVID started. They found excuses and they didn't send me the money. So it wasn't an easy conversation with the builder. Sorry, guys, you have to stop. I don't have money to continue. And then there was COVID. Getting development finance during COVID wasn't easy. Actually, it was impossible. So I wasted another 1.5 years. And then between COVID and the time passing, a lot of materials went 50% up. So the initial budget of 700,000 pounds, and I think also the builder made a mistake there, became over £1 million. So almost 50% increase. And it's not 50% on a 3,000 pounds refurbishment of a two-bedroom flat. 50% increase on a 700,000 pounds means another 350,000 pounds that I had to find out in my pockets, which I didn't have, so it wasn't easy. So there were all these challenges, but at the end, where are the figures? Where before? No, here the figures are here. First, let me show you the flats. Now, each flat is different. It's not different in color. It's also different in style. So some are more modern. Some are more contemporary, some are more classical, some are more like teenage, and some are more for mature people. And some are more simplistic and abstract, and some have more patterns. Why? Why did I do that? Because marketing is very important. I don't want only this as accommodations, holiday lets. I don't want only one type of customers. I don't want only teenage people going on holiday in Southport to become my clients. I don't want only mature couples to be my clients. I don't want only families to be my clients. I want every single person going to Southport potentially be my client. So all my flats are different. Because if they all look the same, first of all, it looks like maybe there are only 2 flats. Instead, when you have 16 different, it looks like, whoa, how many there are? Also, they're nice, aren't they? And what I like most, as it happens, my wife dislikes the one that I like most. Typical, right? And having said that, the one that has more reviews and is often more asked is the one that I like most, which is this one. This one is the one that has more demands. My wife didn't like the face. She says, oh, someone is looking at me. And okay, but the point is, and that is exactly the purpose. My wife will not take this one. If I do all of them like this, people like my wife will not rent from me. Instead, I have also the others. I also have this one. My wife really liked this one. This one indeed was so nice that you like this one, made the front page of YPN, because I write articles there on a regular basis. I actually meant to finish an article this week on rent to rent, because people don't do rent to rent correctly, of course. And the figures. So notwithstanding all the challenges, overall cost of the project was over £1 million. GDV was 1.4. We have an estimated cash flow £200,000. I think that my managing agent has been optimistic, but even if I make £120,000 cash flow, it's not exactly a bad result, is it? Notwithstanding all the challenges that I had. So before we move to question and answer, I'll leave you with one important thought. And it's a true story, and happened to me a few years ago. I have a mentees couple that disappeared on us, literally disappeared. They didn't take the bi-weekly Skype call. We emailed them, we called them, we didn't know what to do. And then after a few months, we got an email from the son saying, Mom is aware that you've been trying to contact her, but she's in hospital. She cannot speak to you now. When she's better, she will get back to you. And so on the one hand, well, at least they're alive. On the other hand, no, after 4 months, she can even write herself a short email, something serious must have happened. And then indeed another 4 months pass, and then the guy that was running the caretaker of the church called us. Not that we check who's the caretaker of the church of all my mentees or Moscow, whatever. Is the caretaker of the church that told them to come to us, because first we mentored him, he made a lot of money, so he told them to come to us. And so they were in church this Sunday. He was pushing her on a wheelchair. I mean, they were young, they weren't young, but he was 10 years older than her. And indeed, the day after she called us and she said, I had such and such illness. I lost most of my fingers and my legs, but I haven't given up on my dream to make money from properties. If she didn't think she had an excuse to give up, what's your excuse? Because if you're not making a 4-digit figure, a nice 4-digit figure every single month, you're train spotting. Properties is a business. Either you make money or you're making excuses. So stop making excuses and get someone to teach you how to make money. Or don't do property. It doesn't have to be me. I'm not the only guy that is good at property. Find someone to teach you. If you want to learn from me, by all means, get in touch. But otherwise, get someone to teach you and make money. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Shimon. So there's a few questions. So indeed, that was quite
here
interesting.
It says 92 messages.
Yeah, so that was really good. I like the due diligence on the bank. How the exchange with delay completion is not more secure than the lease option. You say it was a gimmick, and quite a few other things. You know, the myth and fantasy around lease options. The longer the lease options, the better, and all those simplifications we see, and why why it doesn't work and people can't close them. So just on the question, so David was asking about the 6 months rules. Can you, Guillaume, what was the 6 months rule that Shimon mentioned? With regards to getting finance on a property and that being a reason to do a PLO instead, so you can do a lot more.
Okay, the 6 months. A second. So the 6 months rule started after the market crash last time. In practice, a bank will not lend when you're buying a property. If someone buys a property, the bank will not lend to the buyer if the vendor has owned the property less than 6 months. So normally this doesn't apply. Normal person selling a house has been living there more than 6 months, right?
Yep.
This affects people that are flipping properties. So if you're buying a property, do it happen to resell it.
So simply is you need to have owned the property for 6 months.
6 months. So if you're flipping, true story, I used to have a client that before the market crash, he used to buy at least 100 properties every year. And the end of each year, he didn't own any because he was just flipping them all within weeks. So he didn't like to own properties. He was making just a lot of money by flipping them. When the market crashed, he couldn't flip anymore. And he didn't have the humility to change his business. So I keep trying the same thing that it wouldn't work. So instead of doing 100 deals a year, now then it disappears the client, as you can imagine. Because, you know, if a client is not successful, I don't care to have a client that doesn't buy. And I did tell him, try to look at different ways. I tried to explain about this option. He wasn't interested. So the 6 months rule affects people that are flipping properties.
Yeah.
So instead of flipping, you can do an assisted sale. You do an ugly duckling, you know, you joint venture with the vendor. There are ways to go around it legally, of course, and you still can do it.
Awesome, thank you. Joseph is asking, so Shimon, awesome content. May I know more about your mentoring courses?
Okay, fine. So as it happens, our common friend, mine and Gilam Hanif has convinced me to teach courses again. So you're in great spot because we are going to run an 8 weeks program, which is both courses and webinars, and both weekend and webinars. So if anyone is interested, message me either on Facebook or PM me.
Is that the collaboration one?
So the course is going to be, yes, me, Hanif, Saj, and Tracy, all experts, not just me. So you get for the Presso one 4 experts, and so.
Okay, so.
But if you want to know more about
but if it's the one with Saj, I think there is we were going to promote something a bit later, but I can ask the team to dig it out. There was like something to register to a webinar. I think, is it okay to share it now?
Yeah. Yes, is that yeah. No, I don't listen. Even to do a course for me is noisy. Between law firm, my 8 kids, and my development projects. I have 2 ongoing large development projects. Just to manage to find that one, Hanif took 9 months to convince me to run courses again. And so, but by all means, either get in touch with me or with Guillaume.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think I found it. I will ask Richard if he wants to put the link. Richard's helping me. Sent him.
Oh, I actually have the link somewhere. Oh, a second. You want the link? I could put it in the.
Is it the one with Saj? The webinar with Saj? Yeah.
Yes, I have the link here. Second.
Yeah,
link. What happened here?
There we go. There we
go. No. What am I doing?
There's a QR code here.
Hanif already put the. Okay, Hanif has beaten me to it. And yeah, how do I send to everybody? But Hanif put the squiggly thing. Okay, I was trying to put something else, but this is also the link.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
So guys, you don't have to learn from me. Besides, I cannot teach everybody. But certainly, you need to get someone to teach you these things. Okay. Ideally, you get someone good. If you cannot get someone good, get someone almost good. But getting no one to teach you is definitely worse than getting even someone not good. Tracy, you learned something.
Okay, so
my
Zoom has frozen again.
There is someone says, if someone is facing a repossession and you want to do a lease option, can you? Potentially, yes. I think if they need to be rehoused, then the council will not house them as they might in their stay in their property. Is that correct? No, it's not correct. If this is the case, where does the owner go? Well, they can be helped. They cannot be answered like this. I don't mean in a bad way. It depends on the circumstances of the person, depends on the council, and a lot of things needs to be taken in consideration. But you're correct. You are correct to have assumed that in theory that the council will not rehouse them. But as it happens, 15 years ago, remember the one that the first repossession I showed you? I was the first person to get in the UK housing benefits when they moved to the other house. Because when you fill the housing benefits form, and if you say, they ask you, do you own any property in the UK? If you say yes, you automatically don't get housing benefits. Because of course, if you have a property, go and live there. Why should the council pay for your rental? And so I spent over a month speaking to Manchester City Council. There was Manchester, it was the one in Openshaw. And eventually they agreed that there was an exception to the rule that no one knew. And they agreed to give the guy housing benefits. So it's possible. It's not simple. It's not quick, but it's possible. Questions from Bimbi Fernando. Okay, Bimbi means children in Italian. And so, what difference can you share with us relating to mortgage securitization claims where mortgage against the property have been passed on to a third party without the property owner permission? Now, that is a very complicated area, and something not to be. I mean, it's not something even that you discuss in a course. It's something you teach in a mentorship, because so yeah, Shimon, I had a deal PLO. No, they're not PLO, guys. There is no such a thing as a purchase lease option. They're just lease options. And we consider restriction, but there is restriction. What can I live in the property and why? I don't know. Someone, okay, I'm not mentioning the name. Guys, I cannot answer in a question how to structure a deal without knowing nothing about the property. And if you have any general question, and can anyone buy a council house? Yes, anybody can buy a council house. And do you back-to-back property? No, I don't. I find it boring. But if you want to back-to-back, you use an EDC or an assisted sale or an ugly duckling. Okay, I cannot go back on 92 messages. If anyone wants to answer any question right now, even if you wrote it before, I'll doesn't matter, because there are too many questions. I got lost. Gilliam, did you find any interesting question?
I think we cover most of the questions. I would say I would invite everybody to join your this webinar thing that we're organizing.
Besides, me and Sergeant Tracing are doing a webinar next week. So if anyone wants to see another webinar on these options, again, it's free. Get in touch, and we will. You can join again next week. It's going to be in the evening. It's Wednesday, if I remember correctly, Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So I think it's all for today, guys. It was a pleasure. I hope you benefited, and just buy lots of properties. I don't care if you go to courses, guys. I want you to buy lots of properties and always use my law firm. See, I can sell you a course once, but if you become proficient in property, you're going to use my law firm maybe 20 times. So I make much more money if you're successful in property. People that run courses, they only care that you buy the courses. I don't. I care that you're successful. So if you buy already 20 properties a year, don't go to courses. Just buy 20 properties and use my law firm. And if you don't buy 20 properties every year, then get a course, a mentor. A mentorship always better, a mastermind, both mentors and courses. As long as you buy 20 properties, like this, you keep my law firm busy. Simple. I mean, and I'm not saying I'm a nice guy. I'm looking after myself. I want you to be successful because I only make money if you're successful. Thank you. Ask me about, okay. So that is all for today, I think. And if you need anything, just get in touch. I'm happy to help.
The link must work. If the QR code doesn't work, you can click on the link. Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll share it with the recording. I think, I don't know where.
Yeah, the Margie was saying that she couldn't use the scan the code, but I put also the link. In any event, Margie, message me, either message me or message Gilliam, and we both have the link. Or come to the webinar that we're doing next week.
Yeah, we should have thought about this before the call. So
you are a superstar. Whoa! I like when young pretty the people say that I'm a superstar. I hope it was a woman, and my wife is not watching. And if you need anything, guys, get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shimon. So thank you for joining us on today's Deal Finder Corner. Please visit propertyfilter.co.uk, log on to your Property Filter account, check out the deal blueprint where you can define your goldmine area, engage with motivated sellers, assess properties in seconds, load your pipeline, and actually make deals. Have an endless supply of deals. Join the top 1% of property investors out there and become a high achiever deal finder. I hope you enjoyed today's extended Italian and French session on our Deal Finder Corner this week, and I look forward to speaking with you next week. Thank you very much.